Hello, this is Watch All About, and in this watch review we're looking at one of the latest offerings from Gruppo Gamma. I reviewed one of their watches in 2014 now, the Ascente 41. I was very impressed by it, but that was the last Gruppo Gamma I've ever looked at, so it's been quite exciting to be acquainted with another one a few years later. So this is the Mark IV Vanguard A-04, and as you can see it comes with a very nice little travel pouch, which I actually have used already. I took it on my recent weekend away to Barcelona. Very handy. Obviously the watch fits as so within there, and then on this side we have a little pouch for our warranty card, our spare strap, our strap changing tool, and they even give you a little pouch of silicone gel because they love you. So that's a very nice little touch from them. Okay, we'll discuss the strap in a little bit of detail further on down the line. So I have heard a number of people say how impressed they were with the quality of this watch, so I thought to myself, I've really got to get a hold of one to check it out to see if it is true. So let's discuss the specs first of all. So the price is $499 or £390. So it is more expensive than their Ascent, but naturally a few years down the line you're going to expect prices to go up, aren't you? Size wise, it's 42mm in diameter. It has a pretty chunky height of 14mm and a lug to lug length of 50mm. So if I just slap it on my 7¼ inch wrist, we'll have a look at how it fares on an actual wrist. So there we go. You can see there that it's 42mm diameter. So you know, a lot of watches are that size. So it doesn't take a massive amount of real estate on your wrist, but because of the case construction, also because of the 14mm height, it does have a lot of wrist presence for a 42mm diameter case. So you're getting quite a good deal actually. Not a huge watch, but one that looks mightily impressive, so that's good. In addition to the size, we have a weight of 140 grams, so it is, you know, pretty chunky, pretty weighty, considering it's a leather strap. You know, usually you'd be looking at that kind of weight with a steel bracelet, so it really goes to show the amount of chunk we have associated with this case, basically. We'll have a water resistance of 20 atmospheres or 200 meters, so you know, it's pretty well protected. You can go swimming with it pretty easily. You probably want to avoid properly deep sea diving with it. You want to get a dedicated diving watch for that. So it's good anyway that you know, anything a normal person would throw at it, it will be able to cope with. It has a 22mm strap, lug width, and the width goes for the entire length of the strap, which is a cool touch. I do like it when we have a thick strap for the whole length rather than a tapering strap, because when it's strapped on the wrist, it you know, gives you a much more chunky appearance. You have 1 year warranty, so in case anything goes wrong, don't worry, you'll have a year for that. Movement wise, we've got a Miyota NH35A. I've seen this movement many times before in micro brands. You know, it's pretty solid, decent choice. Sorry, it's not Miyota, it's a Seiko. Comes with pretty standard specs. It has a hacking second hand, low beat movement of 21.6 thousand beats per hour, so that's 6 ticks per second. And it's the same movement that Gruppo Gamma have used in all of their watches, so they're very well versed with this movement. As you can see, in addition to that, we actually have a custom signed rotor on this model, which is always a nice touch to see, with Gruppo Gamma engraved on it. So that's a nice extra. I have put it on my Lepsy watch scope to test the accuracy, and it's coming in at plus 13.1 seconds a day. So it could be regulated a little bit better. Definitely scope for improvement. I have seen some of these movements, you know, be within COSE specs, you know, within plus minus 5 seconds a day. So, you know, the room is there for it to be that accurate. So it would have been cool, you know, of course it would have been nice if it was regulated to that level, but, you know, it's plus 13.1 is acceptable. Okay, so that's all of the specs. Whilst I'm discussing this, it's worth that this watch can be had $100 off until July the 31st, 2017. So that's only for you people who watch this review within the first months and a half, months or so of it being posted. So keep an eye out for that offer in the description. Okay, so let's discuss this aspect by aspect. So starting off with the dial then. Quite a relatively straightforward design dial. Gruppo Gamma timepieces have always been military inspired, so you can tell that this is, you know, military inspired. It's quite a simple but bold design, really. You know, what's more to say other than we've got our black dial base with our hour markers and a few bits of printing on it. So we have a super sandwich dial, it's called. So basically it's a standard sandwich dial in that the numerals and hour markers have been cut out of the top level, and then we have a lower level stuck below it. Usually that lower level has some lume in it, but you can see the void that the top level leaves. So it looks quite nice. It gives it a bit of a 3D feel to it. But that's not the case with this one, because it's a super sandwich. It's basically that sandwich, that void left, has been actually filled to the brim of lume. So it doesn't physically look like a sandwich dial, but in reality it actually is. It's just that the void has been filled with lume. Which brings me on to, you know, one of the key parts of this watch, and the lume is absolutely unbelievable. Probably can't see it now, really. But I've got there'll be a picture on the, let's see if I can get there. You can sort of see it showing through there. This is in a conservatory that, you know, every inch of this conservatory is full of light. So the fact that it's even showing that it's got lume there is impressive in itself. So it charges so quickly, it glows incredibly bright as well. And it lasts for a very long time as well. So this really has been one of the most impressive watches I've ever seen. You know, it even rivals many of the Seiko watches, which people, you know, go ballistic for because of the lume. So that is one of the very, very impressive things of this watch. So the rest of the dial, really, you know, it's fairly straightforward, but it's very well put together. So our hands are sort of like a blasted kind of metal feel to them. We'll put the macro lens on in a short while. We have a nice splash of colour with the red seconds hand as well. And then just our printing, we have a little minute track surrounding the outside, and then the logo in the top half. Vanguard 200 meters in the bottom half. Okay, so moving on to the case then. I really like the case. It's like almost over-engineered. So a couple of features that I particularly like. The bezel surround, we have these interesting little nodules at 2, 6 and 10 with screws within them. I'm not sure if the screws act as a mechanism to hold the bezel in place, or whether it's just for aesthetic purposes. Either way, I do like the look of it. Another cool thing is the crown guards and the crown itself. This section here, the crown guards are a separate entity to the case itself, and they've been screwed into place with these hex screws. So that's again a nice, kind of over-engineered approach to the crown guards. Crown itself, as you can see, has very good Gamma and then a 4 embossing on the end. Great grip as well, so again, very good machining. Another nice point, we have drilled through lugs with really good screw-in pins. I've changed the strap many times, and the thread on these pins are so thick, you know, you're never going to cross thread them. Well, you might do, but you've got to be very careful. You'd have to, you have to be giving it a really good, really hard time to be able to cross thread them. But yeah, the quality of them is top notch, really thick, really good. So it's really easy to change straps as well. I forgot to mention the bezel insert and the mechanism. So it's a 120 click mechanism. A little bit on the stiff side. I would have liked it to be a little bit more buttery, personally. But it's very accurate. No backwards play in it really at all. A lume pip at 12, and the insert has sort of like it's PVD coating, so it provides a really cool matte finish to the bezel. So there we go. Moving on to the case back, screw and case back with these details, and these are really thick, chunky type face, really nicely machined out as well. So that's a great demonstration of a good machining. So there we go. Case back, really thick sapphire crystal as well. Again, demonstrating that they've used only high quality materials in the entire watch. Many people or manufacturers just put a mineral crystal on the case back because in reality it's never going to get hit or scratched. But Gruppo Gamma here have opted for a really good, decent sapphire crystal. Sitting on the top is also obviously a sapphire crystal. It's also double domed, so you can see there, we can see the dome there, but it's domed on the underside. So usually if it's only domed on the top, when you're looking at the dial at this sharp angle, it would start distorting, but because it's double domed on the underside, it counteracts, so you have excellent visibility at pretty much all angles, as you can see. Okay, so moving on to the leather strap and also the canvas strap. The leather is lovely quality. I personally really like it when you have this kind of rustic feel to the strap. Have some nice detail stitching as well. And if we move on to the preview buckle, that's brushed in its finish, but really that's also got a here we go, a screw and pin for you for when you want to change it. Nice and angular, matching the general appearance of the case itself. Very high quality. Moving on to the canvas strap. I really like this canvas strap. It's really comfortable on, really soft. One thing I have noticed is, as you can see around these holes, they are starting to fray a little bit, but I think that's as far as it will go. But it's something that might be worth keeping an eye on. Again, we have nice contrasting light green stitching on there. On this side, our keeper loop is made of the same material, obviously. So have a look at the review for some pictures of what that looks like on the wrist. Having a look at this cute little tool. It's been really nice to use this tool. I haven't used my my Posh set. I've been using this set, this single tool that they have provided, signed by Gruppo Gamma, as you can see. But yeah, it's really good quality, actually, surprisingly. Usually watch manufacturers will chuck in a really cheap and tacky micro screwdriver, but this one's really high quality, really sharp point, perfect for the perfect size, as you can see. Perfect size for the lug screws, and also for the screw on the buckle as well. So very good quality there. Very nice to see. They haven't skimped with something like this. Okay, let's get the macro lens on then, and we'll have a look at it in much closer detail. Just give it a quick wipe. So starting off with the dial. So here's our printing. Nice and fine. And then moving on to our sort of blasted kind of feel to the hands. Nice legibility because of that. Then we have our red second hand providing a nice splash of colour. And then if we look at our markers, you can see there. You can see actually where it's filled in the void of the sandwich dial, which I hadn't. You can't see to the naked eye, but there you go. That just proves it. That you can see a very tiny gap between the edge of the numbers and the edge of the void left by the sandwich. So there we go. Got a little splash of the blue from the anti-reflective coating there as well, as you can see in that reflection. So sapphire crystal has the anti-reflective coating on the underside on the top. Moving on to the case. Here's the bezel to begin with. So we have this PVD finish to it. Nice matte insert. And then moving on to the bezel outside. These bulges here, which actually act as really good grip, and it's just a nice little design feature as well, I find. Moving on to the crown and crown guards. Have our little hex key there. You can see our little join where that sits snugly into the side of the case as well. And then our almost blasted, bead blasted finish to the crown with really good grip, really easy to use. Looking at our lugs, the lugs are quite short and dumpy, which is good, so it fits on my wrist in particular just perfectly fine, but you might also find that if you are concerned about it wearing a bit big because of these really short dumpy lugs, you'll probably be alright. That's the other side of the screw. As you can see, machining on this case is really accurate. Perfect straight lines, absolutely flawless. Nice little angles all over the place, close attention to detail. And it's all brushed as well. So moving on to the case back. So here's our nice big thick type deeply engraved these various watch specifics that you can see. Moving on to the movement itself. There's our balance wheel. Not usually the most attractive movement, the NH35A, but they've made it look a lot better with a custom rotor on it, which is a nice touch. As you can see, it's laser etched on top of the rotor. Okay, moving on to the leather strap. Here's our stitching. You can see the top of our rustic feel, very nice, and then a very good finish to the edge, and then at the bottom here have our stitching at the bottom, and then we have our buckle here with Gruppo Gamma engraved on the end. Some nice little angles on the side in our Preview style. There's our screw, goes in the side, and then just a brief look at this canvas strap. So that's the stitching on the top. With our keeper loops. There we go. Okay, so I really like this watch. I was a great fan of the first Gruppo Gamma I reviewed. In fact, I liked it so much that I almost said, you know, this is the kind of watch that you'd be happy with as your one and only watch, which is, you know, saying something. I actually feel the same way about this watch as well. It's just so well put together, well machined. The design isn't crazy. The design is pretty plain, pretty straightforward, but it does exactly what you need it to do, and it has the feel of a watch that is pretty much indestructible. It has all the right specs. You can't go wrong with, you know, with what it's made of, basically. And it just feels so good in the hand, and it looks so mightily impressive as well. So I have really enjoyed my time with this. Don't forget, you can get $100 off until July the 31st, 2017 as well, using the code provided. So with the RRP of $499 or £390, some people may have an issue with the fact that it's just got a humble NH35A movement in it. But when you consider the rest of the watch, when you consider the watch as a whole, it is a very impressive watch for the money. So, you know, the asking price, I believe, is bang on for what it should be. Okay, so this was the Gruppo Gamma Mark IV Vanguard A-04, and that's what it's all about.